Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm Professor Spira, and I would like to wish you a happy ThanksKilling. In this video, I'd like to talk a little bit about the holiday season that's coming up and what that means for mucusless diet practitioners, and some of the things I talk about might be a little controversial. In the past, I used to be a bit more, let's say, hardcore with my message, and it was more of that shock and awe type of model because there was so few people that were into this level of dietary knowledge and understanding. It was a huge deal even to just talk about being meat free, much less mucuslessness. And fasting. So I've seen that change over the past 10 years quite a bit. There's a lot more support for organizations that are into the animal cruelty and veganism, and people that are into raw foods and plant-based living. So my hope is that there's more of a support system there for people that want to speak out a bit more, and I have no problem speaking out. However, over the years, I've tried to put out content and speak out in such a way that is constructive, as opposed to coming across as being real judgmental or coming across as being real, too intense or anything like that. But when we get around the holiday season, some of my old my feelers start to rise up again, and there's several videos that I actually made. I made some slaughterhouse videos that I never released. I only shared them with a few people, and what I'm thinking about doing is releasing some of them, or maybe releasing them to the insider kind of Eric Club people that I know are ready for it. Because like I said, I don't have a problem releasing that kind of content. It's just that I feel an obligation to be as constructive as possible in terms of giving folks information they need to practice the diet. And because I'm not out here trying to prove anything. It's trying to foster a support system and the knowledge that's necessary. But I will say, one of the things that helped me totally decide that I was going to scrap meat was when I opened myself up to a lot of slaughterhouse videos. And I had already made the decision that I wanted to stop eating meat, but there was a point where I hit some slaughterhouse videos, and that took me over the edge, that took me over the hump to the point where I developed the attitude that even this is not what would happen, but even if I had to die, I would rather die than to eat some dead animal flesh, with the level of negative karma that's building up, the level of suffering and agony that these animals go through. And these animals, as they yell out in excruciating pain, you can't convince me that animals don't feel the pain. That's just totally ridiculous. But I get that argument sometimes for meat eaters that want to try to support their habit. Just like a crackhead is going to tell you that they're totally fine. Crack is fine. Heroin's fine. Eating dead meat is totally fine. And I've seen, and meat eaters will even defend eating meat with more vigor than a crackhead or a heroin head will their drug of choice. And so it gets deep, and it gets real deep, because we're talking about how people grew up in a childhood, and the deepest addiction to pus and mucus that is on this earth. The ultimate gateway drug, the drug of drugs, is pus and mucus. If you don't believe me, then get off of pus and mucus and see if you still have a taste for a lot of these other stimulants. So I'm just going to kind of just go through. We'll just have a discussion about ThanksKilling And one of the things that bothers me the most about this holiday season is the way that something so devastating is framed as being totally wholesome, all American, good family fun. And I will say that what's challenging about Thanksgiving is that, or ThanksKilling, I'm sorry. What's challenging about it is, on one hand, it is a good thing to commune with your family. You know, it's not a bad thing unless it's going to trigger you to eat mucus, which is what it does for a lot of people. And so each individual person that goes down this path of health in the mucusless diet has to develop their own strategy for these holidays, because the foundation of most of these holidays are food, or breaking bread with loved ones. And when you take that out of the equation, unless people are a lot of people don't want to fast. That's what I did for years on these holidays, was fast, just because it cut everything out. I wasn't going to try to go eat, try to eat a version, like a mucusless version of a Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner or something, while everybody around me was eating all of this mess. And then people start picking on you, and they don't even really they're not even doing it out of malice. It's just so strange for you to be sitting there eating a salad and everybody is stuffing himself with turkey leg and breast and all this kind of stuff, and you know, it gets to a point where you're feeling sick to your stomach. They're feeling uneasy, and so it just does not work a lot of times. Now, I know some friends practice a diet. They're able to get with their family and sort of have their meal, or they actually will cook and prepare items that are mucusless or vegan and that kind of thing, and that's fine. I was never really able to do that. My strategy in the beginning, I took more of a hardcore approach, perhaps, but my strategy was I just didn't celebrate the holidays anymore. Or the way that I celebrated was I fasted, and I sort of almost disconnected from people that didn't practice a mucusless diet. Later years, once I totally was into the diet and over a lot of humps, I then will now go and hang out with the family. Oftentimes I'll show up after everybody is already done eating, and I'll hang out and just, you know, sort of commune with the family and that kind of thing. But, you know, that's my strategy. Like I said, there's other folks have had different strategies. What I've seen, though, is people that were well-meaning, trying to practice the diet, get around the family, get in just in this energy, this holiday energy, and that ends up being a terrible trigger. And they go back, and before they know it, they might even go all the way back to eating meat, but they're at least back into some breads and eating pies and all this kind of stuff. And so, like I said, that's all I can do is let you know that this is something that we've inherited. It's almost like a form of karma that we've inherited by being a part of this society, a part of this kind of culture that celebrates everything revolving around food. So what I want to do is, right now I'm just looking at some iconography of ThanksKilling. We got turkey, and I don't know, this stuff it just bothers me. It's happy, like the turkey's not happy. Believe me, we're gonna look at some some video of some turkeys, and we'll compare this photo to those turkeys and see how happy they are. And of course, and then historically, there's probably a lot of other people that have gone in depth. If you don't know that the American historical narrative that you were taught in school about Thanksgiving, if you don't already know that it's terribly flawed and problematic, then you're going to want to do a little research I sort of assume a lot of the people that check out my videos have already sort of are well educated on a lot of the more insidious forms of ignorance that's out here in the society. So I won't go over the history of ThanksKilling and sort of debunk all of the nonsense that's there. I'll just say generally, universally, there's a lot of different societies or cultures that have had harvest celebrations and that kind of thing, a fellowship to celebrate the harvest. Sometimes if it was a bad harvest, they would actually get together and fast. But so it's, as far as a harvest celebration, it's really nothing. There's nothing specific to America, but then they created the myth of the Native Americans and sitting down with the Pilgrims and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I won't even get into that, but I guess Charlie Brown is a popular ThanksKilling icon. See, this isn't, no. It's cute to think, but it's not. That's not how this thing goes down. So let's see, what do we want to go to now? Well, let's go to one of my favorites. This is Sarah Palin at a turkey slaughterhouse. So now, like I said, there's going to be some slaughterhouse depictions in this video. So if that's not your thing, or you're beyond that, or you just don't want to deal with slaughterhouse and seeing turkeys being killed, then go on ahead and find a little happier video. But my thing is dealing with reality, and dealing with reality helps push me to practice the Mucusless diet better and better. So I'm the type of person that I don't like to ignore anything. I like to let it all in. Some people can't do that. I found dealing with different people, a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people aren't, if they're not strong enough or whatever the deal is, they have trouble really confronting the harsh realities that surround us. It's almost like they want to be selective with the harsh realities that they deal with. So their version of dealing with harsh realities might be watching a movie with gangsters in it, or something like that, and they think that they're dealing with some harsh realities. But I'm talking about the harsh realities that really dependent. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or all the class warfare, all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about, this is where the rubber meets the road. And so anyway, let's check this nonsense out.
I, Sarah Palin, Governor of Alaska, anticipating and hoping that in the spirit of Thanksgiving, Alaskans everywhere will find adequate nourishment elsewhere. And without this particular turkey, I do hereby grant Thanksgiving a full amnesty and pardon. Just a great appreciation for this great country. There are so many good Americans who are just desiring of their government to kind of get out of the way and allow them to grow and progress, and allow our businesses to grow and progress. So great appreciation
that dude's
for
looking like,
those
what is she
who share
doing?
that value. And it was a blast. Every day was just a blast out there on the trail.
Any other future plans for office?
Plans just include getting through the budget process that we're going through right now, building the state's budget based on the price of oil that has plummeted so greatly, and reining in the growth of government, and plans like that have to do with helping to govern this state and building this team that is continually being built to provide good service to Alaskans. So in my role as governor, that's what my plans are all around.
Due to the declining oil prices, are you concerned about any state programs being on the chopping block?
Thankfully, we're in a good position still, fiscally speaking. We're in a good position, but it made no sense at $140 a barrel of oil that some lawmakers wanted to spend. We were warning them then, the administration was, that we had to prepare for the day that the price of oil would plummet, which of course it has done. So we had prepared then, reined in the growth of government then, and we will now, that comes into play at this point, where those savings that we had.
Yeah, I don't want to hear her talk anymore. But what can I say? I mean, just so proud, just so proud in ignorance.
Paid in this,
just lavishing in
you know,
ignorance.
For one, you need a little bit of levity in this job, especially with so much that has gone on in the last couple of months that has been so political, obviously, that it's nice to get out and do something to promote a local business and to just participate in something that isn't so heavy-handed politics that it invites criticism. Certainly will probably invite criticism for even doing this too, but at least this was fun.
Oh man, that I didn't even mean to look at that for that long, but it just blows my mind. I mean, this is we're living in the times of great materialism, great ignorance that were written about by prophets in many different traditions for thousands and thousands of years. They all projected that there would be this period of great materialism, great ignorance, and we are living in those times. But they also predicted a time of great awakening in the midst of this ignorance. So let's be a part of that awakening. But oh man, I don't even know what to say. It's just so bad. When you really take a look at it, when you start to wake up and you realize that this is totally insane, then, man. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it here in this video, and I'll do a part 2, and part 2 will get into some more things regarding ThanksKilling, this entire holiday season, and just what it really means to the Mucusless Diet practitioner. Like I said, this is not always an easy time for those of us that are trying to maintain our health and get into these higher level plant-based diets, because everywhere we turn, we're seeing this just all over the place. This is what's acceptable. This is what is the way that we are taught to identify with our family. Like, you know, why can't we come together and just juice some grapes? Why do we have to kill something that doesn't need to be killed? Because that's the other thing. Once there's too many of us out here now for anybody to make the claim that humans need to eat dead animal flesh to live. That's, at this point, that's just absurd. So then why are we eating it? Well, why is a crack addict smoke crack? You know, a lot of them know it's not good for them. Some of them have convinced themselves that it's good for them. And to me, this is no different. If it's actually probably a lot worse, because this is the foundation. You take this pus and mucus out of the equation, and there is no such thing as crack. There's no such thing as, I want to shoot up heroin. I want to do crystal meth. That's just not even in the equation. So, stay tuned for the next video in this series, and we will continue our discussion. Peace, love, and breath.